All right, and in this tutorial video, we are into winter sports season, so we're first going to talk about how you go about setting up a hockey game in Production Truck. So, a few little nuances that are different from other games that you would have done, for example, in fall and spring sports. So, we'll talk about some of those little details here and how to do it. So first off, let's open up Production Truck. I have everything totally cleared and blank, as you would probably see it if you're setting up a game for the first time on a new computer. Similar things to what you've done in the past. Use this little sandwich stack up in the top left to pick the school you're at. For this example, we'll do Shakopee. We have all of our games loaded in, which you can select here through the winter calendar. So make sure you have the right game before you kind of get going with that. All right, so down in the lower left corner for the purposes of setting up graphics, right? So at this point, we recommend, you go through this whole setup, go to the previous tutorial video for just the general broadcast setup to see how to make sure you're pulling audio, pulling video. Do that first. And then once you have that all set up, getting your graphics in place is kind of the last step. So we're going to do that last step here specifically for hockey. Once we have our video and audio pulling, which we would see, image here, audio here, we're going to hit this plus button over on the left. Again, like I've done in previous videos, I would say there are three essential graphics that you have to use every broadcast for hockey, like a lot of the other sports we're doing. I'll show you those first, and then I'll show you a few optional ones that you might want to use. So again, we're going to use this filter. First thing I would recommend, go to this filter and filter it out so you're just looking at hockey. So right now, we don't have anything downloaded on this computer because I haven't used it for a broadcast. This is just the one I'm using in my office. Go to download to find what you're looking for hockey in here. And hockey is pretty simple. We've got just two ones. These are the two we're looking for: scoreboard flat design and the control panel. So we will open up those here, download them first, then we go to the open tab and we select them and hit open. All right, so we've got the two right here. You can rearrange these tabs any way you like. I usually like to keep the control panel on the left. As I've discussed in previous tutorial videos, this control panel does not produce a graphic on its own. If I drag this over here, nothing happens. So you need to use the scoreboard to drag it over here, and then you control it with the control panel tab there within. So I again, would recommend, please put it in the lower left. You can move it to any corner you want just for consistency's sake. I think it looks best in the lower left. Let your camera guy know to kind of shoot a little lower with this being on the lower left, but that's where I prefer to have it be. You can put a message at the top. So if you are at one of the schools that has Violin Wild as a sponsor, you can make it the Violin Wild scoreboard here. Other than that, this is pretty much all that you can control from the scoreboard. If you're pulling data from the scoreboard at the school, you can also have shots on goal show up on the scoreboard, which is kind of cool. I would not recommend manually tracking that though, but that's a setting that you can alter from within the scoreboard itself. Everything else going to be controlled from here. Hockey is a little bit different in that this control panel, you cannot set up the teams this way. So what you need to do is you need to go in here. We need to select away from hockey and go to any section. And there is a bug called Team Control Panel that we're looking for. And we will get that now. It's here. We're going to actually open it up twice because you need one for each team. So Team Control Panel, open one. Team Control Panel will open a second one. So now we have two team control panels. I'm going to go in here and label these. You can change the names of any of these tabs. So I'll have one be Shakopee. The example game we're doing is Shakopee versus Eastview girls hockey. So this will be Eastview. Now what you do from here, we'll start with Shakopee. You go in here and you hit edit team. This is really all you need to do. Change the name. This doesn't really matter, but I usually just type it in anyway. You can put the mascot, put what you want it to show up as on the bug and the abbreviation. If you want, you can put in a record as well too, which shows up in some graphics. Ranking if the team is in the rankings. Also hit select logo. Again, we will have, it's called MN Prep logos on the desktop of all the computers you'll be using. I've got it in a little bit different place on my computer, but look for that there. I'll put the Shakopee Saber graphic. You can change the color of what it will be on the bug. You're noticing that, you might be noticing it's not showing up on here. You have to then hit save, and then you hit apply, and then boom, it shows up down here. So went through that. We would do the same on the other side for Eastview. Make sure you click this home and away button. So you want to set Eastview as the away team. I'll show you kind of how that impacts things here. So Eastview, they're in Apple Valley. They're the Lightning. Don't spell lightening with an E. That bothers me. EV. You can put a record. And we'll also select Eastview's logo, which we have cut out for you on all of our computers. So we'll pick a color as well too. Hit save. All right, so right now I'm going to show you what, like, I have this as set as the home team right now. If I hit apply, it just overrides the previous home team that I set. So make sure you change it to away, and then you hit apply, and then you see down here I've got the two teams showing up as I inputted them. So these are the team control panels. You won't really need to do anything else with these. Just make sure you keep these open up, on as one of your tabs. It's a little bit more work to set up the score bug for hockey, unfortunately, but just you have to use those two separate team control panels. That's the main thing. So I said there were three. There's really, I guess, five if you count the two team control panels. We have the score bug set. You know how to use the control panel. You can show the time, hide it. If you are pulling from the data from the Daktronics board, you definitely want to show the time. You can manually change the period and update the score this way as well too. Third piece you should be using is, like we've done for a lot of different broadcasts, the image overlay. So if you are setting up a broadcast, always use the image overlay that we have pre-programmed with all the graphics set for you use the location of the school you're at. So if it's a dual stream and you're not sure, should I be using Shakopee or Lakeville South, for example, use the image overlay of the school you're at. So this is going to be for a broadcast tomorrow at Shakopee. Going to open up the Shakopee image overlay. Please use this because I'll have it kind of set up for your broadcast that night. You can go into the settings yourself, but I'll kind of have this set for you. Go into the position, and I just like to have the graphics kind of line up a little nicer. So it's kind of next to the score bug instead of just floating awkwardly in the middle of the screen. So again, I've had this in previous tutorials, how to use this image overlay. Like I said, you open it up, you drag it over here, and then you can kind of click between the different graphics that we want you to use that correspond to the different live reads. So these are kind of the core, I guess 3, but we'll call it 5 that you need for hockey. Last piece I wanted to add as well too, use a game intro for the start of your broadcast to spice it up a little bit. It's the one that's called Game Intro Flat Design. So instead of just opening your broadcast with this boring blank score bug graphic that doesn't have a score and says first period, instead of doing that, before you get into the game, use this game intro graphic. So you come in, set the scene, set the matchup, welcome in people. Before the game starts, this is the graphic that we would ask that you use, Game Intro Flat Design, just for the start of the broadcast. Get into the game, and you'll kind of just, as always from there, just be using the score bug from then on out.